Hey everyone, I'm not sure if you are able to hear me or see me. Just a very quick type in if you can. We still are a couple of minutes away, so you'll just wait and quickly check in. Hey Shiv, hi. Hey Nakul, hi. You guys are able to hear me clearly, or should I use earphones? Hey everyone. Hey, hi Tejas. Thank you. Hello Bhupendra. Oh hey, wow, there are already 35 people. I was expecting like not more than 10 people would show up. This was literally my first live stream. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes, guys. But meanwhile, very happy to take like any questions that you might have for me. Otherwise, in a couple of minutes, I'll introduce the agenda and we'll get started. Hey, Rasesh. Hi. Hi, Omkar. Hi, Rajesh. Hi, Nakul. Awesome. All right. Hey, Kedar. Hey, Ramya. Guys, this is like my favorite cup. I usually have like all my coffee and water in this. You might have seen this on the videos also. So yeah. And I usually have like black coffee. So I do a lot of sessions for cases over coffee, a lot of teaching events. So it looks like, so I usually have coffee, Shubham. So I'm like a black coffee person. I don't drink tea. Uh, Even when I have tea, it's like more like flavored tea, not like milk tea. Students from average college. Yes, I'll do that. Vaishnav, a lot of you commented on today's video regarding comparing MBB with top 4 consulting firms. So I'm working on that. Yes, pick 4. Yeah, Vaishnav. I'll do that. Right. And I'll try to cover that point also. I watched a couple of, thank you, Ramya, about tier 2 MBA from UK versus top MIM. Sure, Ramya, I'll do that. I'll probably write a post separately. I think that will be, you got new audio setup. Yes. Thank you. Actually, Shivam, the problem was not my mic. The problem was actually the room in which I was shooting the video. So it did not have proper curtains and stuff like that. So it was more of an echo problem, because of which I had to go back and re-edit things. So it created a lot of problems from that perspective, but hopefully it should be good now. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Great. Like 67 people have shown up already. I'm like super humbled. New fellows is always favorite coffee flavor of the fellow. What's that about? Oh, is it? Okay. Yes, Shiv. So basically, because it's called cases over coffee, so it had to do something with coffee. Maybe I'm not from Elite Institute. Yes, I. So guys, basically today, since we are on time, and I will not take a lot of your time, and I'll get the session started for people who are already waiting. So I've prepared my notes. I usually prepare my notes on my phone itself. Right? So it's convenient to talk about all these talking points. And definitely, guys, please keep on suggesting. On my every session, there are a lot of trolls who would show up also. So I'm expecting that this would happen on this session also. So it's completely okay. Don't get caught off by that, right? And it's completely fine from that perspective. Now, okay, very, very quickly, I messaged you today on Instagram, then on network. Okay, thanks, Durvesh. All right, guys, so what I'll do is that now we'll get the session started, right? I'll try to keep it precise to the point. I will not waste a lot of your time from that angle, right? And there are essentially 3 things that I was hoping to talk to you about. This is the first YouTube live that I'm doing. So I wanted to make the session broad. Yes, so Sayan, I'm going to do that. And guys, I'm going to hold off on answering the question. I'll quickly introduce the agenda, and then I'll keep on answering questions bit by bit whenever I get the option or opportunity. Okay, so very quickly. So we are going to talk about 3 things today. One is that how do you think about competition, right? 10K soon. Yes, Arya. So hopefully it will happen today itself. Right? So thank you so much. So number 1, I'll talk about how to think about competition. Now, this is a very key and important point in each of our lives, right? The way we think about competition is the way we talk about the second point, which is how you end up thinking about your career, right? This is the second point. And third, I'll talk about how should you think about money. So I've deliberately kept this session very broad, and hopefully it will be a interesting conversation which I would be able to highlight. I'll speak from my own anecdotes in life, right? How I have what are the key points that I've learned, and why I feel that these topics are important for you to understand and internalize as well. Right now, very quickly, right? So I'll not. It's a little bit of gyan giving session as well, right? So pardon me for that. It might not be sort of pointed per se, but I'll try to keep the learnings intact, and I'll try to give you key takeaway after every section. So hopefully, if you pick up these key takeaways and implement in your life, that would be very useful. Right. So if we all are set, we will quickly get the session started. And thank you so much for all the 92, approximately 100 people who have joined in. I was not expecting it. And officially, hello everyone. So welcome to my YouTube channel. And this is our first live stream. So super special. And can't thank you, all of you, enough for commenting, liking my posts, engaging with my content. So super happy and super thankful for whatever you guys have been doing for me. Right, so really mean it, and appreciate a lot all the love that you have shown. Really mean it, right? Okay, so I'm not. So I'll stop there, and because I know that you guys have come here to learn, so it is my responsibility to utilize your time effectively. So with that said, I'm going to speak about 3 topics as I was speaking. So one is that I'll talk a little bit about how to think about competition in your life in general. This is very important. Number 2, we will talk about how to think about your career, right? And how I have gone about planning my career and what I plan to do next. I have some very interesting plans, which I'll discuss with you, all of you, right? What I plan to do next. And third is that how do I think about money, and why thinking about money is also very important, right? So these are 3 specific points that we will try to cover. And I will not spend like insane amount of time on any of these sections. I'll literally tell you like an anecdote, some key points, and we'll move on. Very happy to have discussions around these topics. Try to limit your questions on the topic we are speaking about. Okay, so the first topic I'm going to speak about is that how do you think about competition? So I would love to hear your response. Right now, the responses could be that, what, Akshat, the world is super competitive, and it's important to be cutthroat. It's important to be super agile in terms of whatever you're doing. It's super important to be competitive in life. Some people will say that, we should live a balanced life. We should not take too much risks. How do you think about competition? Very quick inputs and comments from you guys. Then post this, I'll tell you an anecdote, right, from my time at INSEAD. Healthy competition. Okay, Nakul says healthy competition. Okay. All right. Any more inputs, guys? That how do you think about competition? Competition is necessary. Learning everywhere. Only play zero-sum games when necessary. There is no end to competition. Absolutely, Ikshit Jawar. Thanks, Durvesh. Okay, guys. So survival of the fittest. Competition is within oneself, internally. Okay, your own competition. Okay, competition is good. So guys, now I have been thinking about these things, and honestly, I don't have like a here is a response. Pick it up, and this is how it will work. No, I don't know that, right? So, but what I'll tell you is that I'm not sure if you guys have heard of a book called as Blue Ocean Strategy. How many of you have heard of it? Right. So there's a book called as Blue Ocean Strategy. If you have not heard of it, just quickly Google it. It's a very interesting book which discusses the concept around competition, and they define competition in 2 domains. One is called as Red Ocean Strategy, and one is called as Blue Ocean Strategy. So Red Ocean Strategy, as the color suggests, there is a lot of competition in this red ocean. Everyone is killing each other. Fishes are killing each other. Shark is eating the other shark. This is how some of us see the world. Right. On the flip side, if you look at the blue ocean, if you're a whale and if you're swimming in the blue ocean, you are the only fish there, right? So to say, metaphorically speaking. So point that I'm trying to portray here is that we can view our life and competition from this perspective as well, that we can consider the way we look at the world. We can either consider it to be blue ocean, or we can consider it to be red ocean. Now, why am I telling you this blue ocean, red ocean strategy? The reason is very simple, that I was actually taught by a professor called as Professor Kim Chan. so who is like a thought leader. He has set up the Blue Ocean Strategy Institute. He was one of my professors at INSEAD, and I had a chance to speak with him, right, because I was a student at INSEAD. So that was a fascinating conversation. And one of the key points that he told me, and I asked him that, hey, Prof, how did you come up with this concept of Blue Ocean, Red Ocean? What was the thought process behind it? Because now this is like one of the leading thought practices of our generation, right? Literally, it's a it's a key strategy book. For example, you guys might have heard of a framework called as Potter's Five Forces framework, right? So now that was a era defining concept, and similarly Professor Kim Chan's book on Blue Ocean Strategy is also a era defining book, right? So that is the key point that I want you to take away, that this was actually a very scintillating conversation for me. I, as a student at INSEAD, got an opportunity to meet him, talk to him, and he was very kind. He in fact spoke with me for half an hour, right, one on one, right, which was like absolutely brilliant. Now, the one thing that I remember from our conversation is that, he told me that, what, Akshat, forget about Blue Ocean, Red Ocean. Okay. What you should think about is that how, as a student, one of the key things that you should remember is that you should think about competition from a short-term and long-term perspective, right? For example, many a times what happens is that we stay in our own bubble. We will, for example, if you're competing for, let's say, IIT exam, or if you're competing for medical exam, or if you're competing on GMAT, or if you're competing for a college exam GPA, the point becomes that, what, we are literally like extremely stressed because we are thinking about competition from a short term perspective, right? Now many of us take this argument to extreme. We start assuming that, what, if I show my exam notes to my peer, he or she might avail more benefits from me, right? So that's a short way of thinking about things, and that is an incorrect way of thinking about things. It is okay, right? I mean, you will have to go through a journey to get from the short term to long term driven strategies. Okay. So the point or the key takeaway that I want you guys to take from this entire example is that you need to think a little bit long term. Now, why do I say it? Now, here are some key interesting points for you. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know that when Google and Microsoft were competing against Apple sometime in 2006, 2007, do you guys know that both Google and Microsoft was bigger than Apple, right? So, for example, Google was bigger than Apple, and Microsoft was bigger than Apple, right, in terms of valuations, right? By 2013, what happened was that, and at this stage, Apple was a relatively new company. It was not as if that it was super old or something like that. Then in 2013, what happened? In 2013, Apple put Apple on one side and combined Google and Microsoft on the other side. Apple was bigger than both of these combined, right? The point I'm trying to tell you is that both Google and Microsoft, they kept on competing with each other, keeping a short-term viewpoint in mind. Okay, so this became a slight problem for them. They could have beaten down Apple in terms of designing the ecosystem, brands, new things, whatever, right? But the point is that they never collaborated. This is how we also think about competition in our own life, that we shy away from competing. Now, if you read Peter Thiel's book, the PayPal co-founder, so he talks in his book Zero to One that how did he ended up working with Elon Musk? How did he collaborate? Right now, we are sitting in 2021. PayPal is still one of the biggest firms in its own niche, right? That is a very important point for us to understand. Why did this happen? Do you guys know that, Peter Thiel was one who started PayPal, and then Elon Musk came in later in PayPal, right? He was not a co-founder per se from that perspective. So on one hand, you have like giants like Google and Microsoft, which refused to join forces to beat Apple. On the other hand, you have people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel who combined their might together to still keep PayPal afloat even now, right? So the PayPal mafia, absolutely Avinash, right? So that's the bottom line. That's the power of collaboration, and it works even at an individual level. And I'll explain you why, right? So now the reason why long-term thinking and collaboration works is very simple. If I ask you that when do you think you will make the most amount of money in your life? At what age do you think you will make the most amount of money? if you have to give a range, right? Let's say a 10-year range. For example, you will say that, you know what, hey Akshat, I'm going to make the most amount of money in the time when I'm 30 to 40, or 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80. So when is it that you would make the most amount of money in that time, 10-year time span? Okay, very interesting, right? So all of you are saying that, you know what, somewhere around like 30s to whatever, like 60s, that's the range that I'm seeing. Okay, absolutely. So Shrey got it right, that Shrey, you know, people are going to make the most amount of money in the last 10 years of their career, right? Forget about last 10 years of their career, right? And this we'll cover in part 3 of our today's conversation. You'll make the most amount of money in your last 10 years of living, right? So to say. The reason is very simple, that, you know, whatever money you're making, for example, let's say that you currently make 10 lakhs a year, right? Hypothetically speaking. Then when you're 50, you'll make, like, let's say 50 lakhs, right? When you are 60, you'll make 60 lakhs and you will retire. Now, all that money will be sitting in your bank, right? And you will invest properly. If you invest properly, and even if you're generating 15% return, your money will double every 5 years, right? So let's say that by the time you're 60, by the time you retire, you have, let's say, a corpus of 1 crore, right? Now, in every 5 years, if the money gets doubled, then, you know, and let's assume that you live till 70, then how much money did you make when you're 65? You made from 1 to 2 crores, right? From 65 to 70, how much did you make? From 2 to 4 crores, right? So essentially you made 2 crores between the time you were 65 to 70, right? So that makes the sense that, you know, if it's not about the money actually. Yeah, so the bottom line is that this happens in everything. So compounding is very easy to explain when you're talking about money, because there is a quant or a number associated with it. But if you think about it, even from your career viewpoint, right, and competition viewpoint, you should always consider people around you as someone who is willing to collaborate, right? Because you need to think about long term. You need to think about that, you know what, how is this person going to help me, not just now, right, but like 20, 30, 40 years across in my career. Now, you guys might say that, hey, Akshat, can you tell me like how you have implemented this in your own life? So very happy to. So many of you know that, you know, I do a lot of admissions consulting. I've been doing it from 2015. Now, many a time people ask me that, hey, Akshat, why are you involved in admission consulting? What is the benefit to you, right? So that benefit is very simple for me, that every year I get to help at least 10 people who get into Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, INSEAD, right? Schools like these. Now, if I'm doing it since the time when I'm like 30-ish, right? And if I keep doing it for 10 years, then I would have at least put like 500 people in good business schools, and eventually, at, you know, few of them will become CEOs of big company, right? So that gives me a very wide network, right? So I'm taking it as a long term networking exercise. I'm not sort of pushing it like thinking about it from a competition viewpoint, that, you know what, if I get like more people into INSEAD, then they will also start their YouTube channel, and then, you know, you guys will be on their YouTube channel, not my YouTube channel. So that's a wrong way of thinking, right? So the point that I'll leave you with is that, number one, and just to summarize the key learning that I have from Professor Kim Chan. Number one, think about your career, or think about competition in blue ocean and red ocean terms. You have to compete every now and then, no doubt about that. Try your best, but also take it as a collaborative opportunity, right? That's a very important point. And always think long-term perspective, right? Because the more relationships, the more network do you build, the more it will help you, not just now, but actually your major impact will happen in the last 10 years of your life, right? So keep that in mind. That is very, 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 very important point for you to remember and internalize. So at this stage, I'll take very few quick questions on the concept of competition and collaboration. Very quickly, what I've covered, right? I've covered Professor Kim Chan's philosophy, right? So to say, from what I could understand back in the day. I also gave you the example of how Google and Microsoft could have collaborated to literally kill off Apple, so to say, right? But they did not collaborate. On the flip side, there is a bad company, I'll not use the word bad, but there is actually a company, PayPal, which, at least in like ease of transaction for Indians, it's really bad, right? But they have still survived and they have thrived because of their collaborative attitude, so to say, right? So very important, all these key points. All right, so let me just quickly take some questions. What's important is who you know, not what you know, okay? Both are important, Mohit, but you're absolutely right from that perspective. How is back office investment banking viewed by adcoms? Okay. Okay, what about your competitors in exams like GATE, UPSC? Very good question, Durvesh. I'll explain that. So Amya, so don't worry about investment banking. I just shot a video for investment banking today, so it should be up and running in like another 2-3 days, right? So you'll get the entire video. Okay, how about your competitors in exams like GATE, UPSC? Very good question, right? So let's assume, Durvesh, for example, if you're preparing for UPSC, now you know that 99.99% people will fail the UPSC exam and they will not clear it. So how is it now if you go in that preparation mode where you're not sharing your notes, where you're not helping your peers, where you're not collaborating with other people to form study groups, then there will be certain disadvantages. Number one, if you don't share your strategies with others, others will not share their strategies with you. So that this is a lose-lose proposition. Okay, that's point one, and that immediately impacts you. Number two, let's assume, right? Let's assume the worst case scenario that you help me, and you and I are studying for UPSC. You help me, and I use your notes, I use your knowledge, and I am able to clear UPSC, right? Not at your expense, right? I just cleared it because I was hardworking, for example, so on and so forth, and I cleared it. But I'll always be thankful that you helped me out during my UPSC preparation day, and you have built a good connection, good strong connection, right? For example, right, through my own journey in management consulting, so I during my time at INSEAD, I worked with two of my really good friends. So one guy was a Japanese American and one was a Russian, right? So my Japanese friend got into Bain, my Russian friend got into McKinsey Dubai, right? And I got into Dalberg after INSEAD. The point is that all three of us supported each other in that entire journey. It was not as if that when we were teaching each other how to solve cases, we were competing with each other. We would have applied to the same jobs, same companies, same sort of entire structures. But the point that I'm trying to drill home here is very simple, that in order for us to get to a certain threshold, for example, let's imagine that to get into management consulting, you need to hit this threshold, right? Now, if I myself would have worked, I would have reached here, right? But with Dennis and Winston's help, who are my friends, I was able to hit here. All three of us were able to hit here, right? We all three got jobs, right? The point is that always think about it in threshold capacity, that when you collaborate with people, it helps you hit higher threshold, right? That is very, very important point for you to consider, that if you work alone, you will only get here, you will never hit the threshold, and you will ruin your chances, right, of even getting into basic firms. But if you collaborate with the right people, right, it's again very important. You should not collaborate with crabs, so to say, right? Crab mentality is that people, when they just push each other down, right? So very, very important that you must collaborate, you must help people. And the first rule of helping or getting help yourself is to help others, right? If you're helping others, then you automatically will receive a lot of help. So with that said, Akshat, this long-term networking concept is not very well known to most of our bosses. They will just use hook or nook. Okay, how do you tackle? So Charu, I'll answer this on part 2 of this question. Now, very quickly, guys. So I do not want to spend like our entire session on this topic alone. I could have done like 3 specific topics. Probably we'll do that. But very quickly, right? Talking about, let's move on to when you decide if collab is not working out or if it's becoming one way. Okay. Ramya, basically, the way I would look at it is that if you should collaborate with serious people, right? For example, in let's say Google and Microsoft partnership. If both the parties are not serious about each other, then it's pointless, right? Similarly, in my case, if my peers whom I had picked to collaborate with, if they were not serious to solve cases, they were not showing up for our meetings, we were scheduling it, they were rescheduling it, so on and so forth, then there is no point in collaborating with such people. It's not as if that you're not collaborative. You are collaborative, you're just looking for the right people to collaborate, right? That's the psyche that I would want you guys to take away from this talk, that it's not as if that if you do not collaborate with person X, you're not collaborative, right? That does not what collaboration or good collaboration means. Collaboration means that you're willing to collaborate. You understand that what, if I work alone, I'm hitting this, I need to hit this, therefore I need to collaborate, right? So that's the point you need to take in mind. And then you need to find serious people who align with your vision, who align with your working style. But you must become the type of a person who is willing to give back, right? If you do not become a person who is willing to give back, you will never be able to network organically and you will keep on struggling, right? So, all right. So now coming to the next point. Now let's talk about, okay guys, so I'm getting a lot of questions. Thanks so much. But very quickly, let's just cover the three topics that I wanted to quickly cover, and then I'll answer all these questions, right? Okay. Now, topic number two is that how do you think about your career? Okay. So now this is like a very interesting anecdote. So which I'll tell you, and I'm not telling this to you to criticize the kind of work culture that we have grown up in. But this is a good point that I'm saying about other culture, right? So this is not something that I'm trying to promote other culture to show our culture down, nothing of that sort. Please don't take it in an incorrect manner. So the story goes like this, right? So when I was at INSEAD, I used to meet a lot of people from different countries. So I became friends with a lot of Europeans. And INSEAD, as you as you might know, it's a very intense MBA program. It's just 10 months program with 2 months of internship for one of its batches. So it's super intense, right? I mean, every day we used to have classes at like almost 8 in the morning, and it would go up to evening also. You had like study assignments, you had work assignments, blah, blah, right? So super paced, fast course at INSEAD. And I used to sort of engage extensively with a lot of Europeans. If some of you are from Cases Over Coffee here, you would know that I'm very good friends with Louis, right? So he's a European, right? So basically, I met a lot of people at INSEAD from Europe, and I always used to see that I always used to see from them that hey, I used to study like a nerd, right? I mean, at NCR, I used to solve cases. I used to attend all the classes. I used to complete all my assignments. I used to study, network a little bit, and I was completely career driven, right? So that was my attitude and orientation when I went to business school, right? I thought that if I'm super serious, I'll get like good jobs, blah blah, right? So that was the attitude that I displayed, right? Which was the right attitude? No, it was not, right? When I asked, I used to observe my friends from Europe, right? Their philosophy was very different from mine. They used to take each day individually, right? For example, hey, I have to work out, then I have to work out. That is a dedicated time slot. If I have to network, I have to network. If I'm going out on lunch every day, then I have to go out on lunch every day. If my work related phones or like academics related phone calls, they used to switch it off after 6 p.m. And that's the same philosophy they adopted even in their work life, right? Now you might turn around and say that, hey, Akshat, this is not something that works in India. And I completely agree. But see, guys, you guys are, young, right? You guys, most of you must be younger than I am. You are in that position where you can actually start changing this culture, right? So don't expect your boss to be nice to you, right? But you have the option of being nice to your juniors, right? If respect their time, if you have decided that, hey, this is going to be a 1 hour meet, wrap it up in 1 hour, be efficient, be effective, right? This is a message, or this is an attribute that we can learn from a different culture and improve our working environment. So this is the first key point that I want you to take away, that we might not benefit in our own generation as of now, right? I mean, for example, if the work culture is whatever, and if your boss is really bad, it's fine, right? I mean, we have to make do with it. But if we get an opportunity to improve the work culture, right, for our juniors, then we must ensure that we are being effective and diligent and smart about utilizing their time and allowing them to lead a holistic life, because that is what we also want to do, right? So this is like a very important first point that I wanted to bridge home about work cultures and how to think about your career, that you must think about how people outside India are designing it, because we have been grown, or we are growing, or we have actually grown in a work environment where we are too academics or too career focused, and sometimes that consumes all our energy, right? There's nothing wrong. Even I am like truly academic driven and career driven, but that does not mean that that needs to be my life 24/7. Even if I'm working for 12 hours, do that 12 hour of work really really well, but rest of the time you must figure out a way to live holistically, right? And this is very important. So I'm not even talking about work life balance here, guys. So all I'm simply trying to communicate here is very simple, that you must try to ensure that you are utilizing your time effectively, right? For example, if you have a space, please watch my video that is coming out tomorrow. It's on productivity. So, and I'll talk more about this there, that how you need to be productive during your entire active hours, right? So for example, cutting out your sleep is not an active way, right? I mean, that's a bad sign. But how you utilize like 16 hours of your working day, that is super important, right? So keep that in mind. That is very, very important. Try to build a good work culture. That is our first primary responsibility for all of us, because we are youngsters. And if we can build a good work culture, that really helps people. And the way to build a good work culture is by being effective. Now comes the question that, hey Akshat, I'm really confused about my career. So what would be your advice? What is it that I would want to do? Now, guys, basically there are like two ways of thinking about your career, right? One is that you can think about it from a theoretical perspective, right? And one is that you can think about it from a practical perspective, right? So, hey David, hi. So now, if you think about it from a theoretical perspective, you might have heard of a concept called as ikigai, right? So, which is a Japanese concept, which shows like 5 circles, and figure out your passion, what you're good at, what is your skill set, what the world needs, all that, and figure out an intersection of all this. Now, point is that, hey, if we knew that much, then why would we even be confused about our career, and why would we even go and read about ikigai, right? Now, it's brilliant, right? I'm not criticizing the concept, but what I'm trying to tell you is that, hey, this is a theoretical thing. Trying to make it practical might be a little bit difficult, right? It's good, read about it, nothing wrong there, but this is not something that will give you an answer, right? So which brings me to the second part of how I think about my career, is that you must experiment with what you enjoy, right? That is extremely important, right? So I have prepared certain notes which I'll just quickly refer to. So in terms of practical learning, what you need to do is that you must experiment with things. Unless you do something, you will not understand it, right? That is super important. You can read any book in the world, that will not give you clarity. You can speak with any career counselor, it will not give you clarity. You can read all about management consulting and watch all my YouTube videos, it will not give you any clarity, right? What will give you clarity is that, for example, if you're interested in management consulting, figure out what you can do, right? What is it that you can do, right? It's not as if that you can go to McKinsey, knock on the door and tell that, hey, McKinsey, can you take me up for like a one-day project? It will not happen. But what is it that you can do, right? I'm capitalizing the word do, right? So what can you do? It's very simple, right? At least you can solve cases, right? Go and figure out a partner with whom you can solve cases. Now, would this replicate McKinsey's work environment? The answer is no. But will it tell you something about McKinsey, right? In a practical way, the answer is yes, right? Similarly, you know for a fact that investment bankers are good at building valuation models, right? And they enjoy doing valuations. They enjoy learning about number theory, so on and so forth. And they are good at building Excel model. So what can you do? You literally can do. Now, again, you can't go to JP Morgan bank in New York and knock on the door and say that, hey, can you give me an internship? If that happens, wonderful. But to experience this career path yourself, you can at least go and build a couple of valuation models on your own, right? So doing this exercise gives you a lot of clarity. This is the first key concept that I would like to drive home, that, hey, great to learn about theory, read about ikigai, listen to different people, get their perspective, but always figure out a way to do things, right? If you don't do things, then it's a slight problem. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the 10,000 subscribers. Thanks, Ajinkya. Even I did not know. I did not plan the YouTube live in such a way that I would hit the 10,000 subscriber the moment this chat is going live, right? So, how much salary to be in top 1% income in India? So, King, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know the numbers, to be honest. But sir, how can I contact you? Okay, so we'll talk about it towards the end. Yeah, absolutely. So philosophies of Sunny. So doing is more important than reading about it. And this is something that all of us understand very intrinsically, right? It's not as if that I said something path breaking. What I'm simply telling you is that I'm helping you understand this little bit more practically. That, for example, management consulting, you understand that, hey, management consultants solve cases. So let me at least go and solve a couple of cases with people. That's one. Investment banking, hey, they build valuation models. So let me try and building a couple of valuation model. Let me see if I'm enjoying that part of the work, right? Because even when you start working at management consulting firm, there are things that you will like, things you will not like, right? Which brings me to another important point on this section, that many a times people say that people ask me the question that, hey Akshat, can you talk about your day as a management consultant, and can you tell me whether I will enjoy management consulting or not? So I ask them 2-3 questions. I'll say that, hey, okay, Janil, or hey Jan, hey Shivam, can you tell me, do you enjoy case solving? The answer would be yes. If I ask you that, hey, do you enjoy like speaking with new people? The answer would be yes. Do you enjoy problem solving? The answer would be yes. Now if I go take you through that list of 10 points, and if your answer is yes, 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 it does not mean that you're a perfect fit with management consulting, because you might go to a management consulting firm. You might see that, you know what, it's like 12-hour workday. I have to travel a lot. I have to listen to a lot of clients. It just literally frustrates me if my uh, recommendations are not getting implemented. So all these are points that might throw you off a little bit. So point I'm trying to tell you is very simple, that we always divide the world in binaries, right? That, hey, I'm going to like something, I'm going to dislike something, which is incorrect way. You need to understand, experience thing, then go through that journey to get more clarity. What you can do is that always make sure that you're learning something practical, doing something practical that will give you more assessment towards the things that need to be done. Thank you, Harsha. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. And okay, so what else do you want to cover? Okay, so now very important. There are a couple of final things that I want to cover very, very quickly about thinking about your career. So one is that when you're thinking about your career, be it management consulting, be it investment banking, be it marketing, be it venture capital, so on and so forth, it could be anything, right? It doesn't matter. What you absolutely do need to do is super simple, that number one, pick up and build a core skill. For example, if you are a management consultant, try to become the best management consultant out there. If you are an investment banker, try to become the best investment banker out there. That is one part of the equation. Okay, that's one, what you need to do, key takeaway. The second point, what you need to do is that you need to learn a money making skill, right? I can't tell you how important it is to get that feeling of safety. Once you know that, you know what, even if I get fired from my job, I at least have this bankable money making skill. Now, do you need to go crazy in terms of making money making skills? The answer is no, right? For example, can you edit basic videos? The answer would be yes or no. If yes, that's a money making skill. If no, are you willing to learn it, right? That's one. Now, second is that you must think about the point that, hey, second point that you can think about is that, can you write well, can you speak well, right? All these are monetizable money making skills that you need to pick up, which should go in conjunction with your primary career at which you're trying to become better. Now, this section was not focused on that, hey, should I become a management consultant or investment banker or marketing professional, etc., etc. I'm just trying to tell you how to think about your career in a positive manner. The way to think about your career in a positive manner is that, number one, try to number one, experience things, right? For example, if you want to become a management consultant, try to solve cases, get that experience, then jump into that field. Number two, understand that, hey, there are things that I will like and dislike about this field. Nevertheless, let me try to become the best at it. That's two. And third and finally, you must append your primary skill along with a money making skill, because that gives you confidence that if something goes off in your career, you can always come back and have a fallback plan on something. Okay, so this is a very important point that I wanted to make a case about. Now, okay, Akshat, can you make a video on front end and back end jobs? Absolutely, I'll do that. Absolutely, there are certain primary money making skills we should learn. Okay, all right. So I'm getting a lot of questions. I don't know which ones to pick. Does working at business management startups help to get MBB jobs? It does, Kalyan. Are there any B schools like Darden whose courses taught in case study method? So Nakul, Harvard does that. Even NCR does that. Okay. All right, guys. So slightly off questions here, but I'll try to answer as many as I can. Now, all right. So guys, we'll speak for like 10 more minutes on the final topic, which is about how to think about money. Okay. Is it right option to apply for? So Ankita, we will talk about it separately on probably not on this chat. Okay. So now finally thinking about money, right? So number one, right? So here's a very interesting quote by Warren Buffett. I'm paraphrasing it, so numbers might be off. So he said something like that, let's say that you earn $100. Okay. By your next generation, how much money would this become? This will only become $30. Okay. And by the second generation, how much would this become? This will only become $10. Right. So very quickly. So if in your generation, let's assume that you leave your children $100, how much money would that become at the end of their lifetime? It will become $30. And by the time your grandchildren are at their end of their life, that $100 will become $10, right? So that is how the fast depreciation is, right? So when you see all these big businesses, I always used to ask myself that, hey, you know what? Why would someone like Mukesh Ambani need to work? This is precisely the reason why. Because if you do not invest, or if you don't learn to invest your money, then it becomes a problem, right? Because the wealth deteriorates like crazy, right, due to inflation. We will probably do a separate session on it. But just to cut the long story short, this is super important for you to realize that, each of us, and this is the second point, that number one point was that the money goes down every year due to inflation. Number two, if you don't learn to invest, your money will go down 100%. Okay. The cash that you earn, if you're not investing it, it will go down, right? And number three is that you absolutely do need to understand and pick up basic financial literacy skills, because of the fact that each of us are making some kind of salary. Okay. So it has got nothing to do with how much money I am making or how much money some XYZ person is making. Whether you're making 15,000 or 15 lakhs a month, you will still need to learn how to invest that money. If you're not doing it, the money will keep going down. So that is a very, very important point for you to drive home. And when should you start learning how to invest? You should start learning to invest as soon as possible, right? There is no right age. Even if you're 35, 40, 45, or even if you're 15, 20, 25, you must learn how to invest, because at every stage you will have to keep investing, right? Now, there was another important thing that I was going to cover. So yeah, here is another interesting quote that I was able to find from Warren Buffett. So he literally says that, hey, making money is very easy, but saving is very hard, and investing is the hardest, right? Now that's a very interesting quote there, that, hey, you know what? Making money is fine, right? All of us make money, but in order to save money, we don't end up saving money much, and very few of us actually invest money. And this is true, right? So do you guys know how many people actually invest in stock markets directly in India? I'm not talking about mutual fund investments. I'm talking about you directly going and buying stocks. Okay, 2 crore, yeah. So less than 10%, somewhere around 1%, right? So that's like really, really low number, 1.5%. That is the percentage of people who would invest directly in stocks. So that's a very scary number, right? That you are depending on others to manage your money. And literally, remember that first quote that I gave on this section, that, hey, if you earn $100, by the end of your child's lifetime, that $100 will become $70, $30. And by the end of your grandson's or granddaughter's life, that $100 will become $10, right? And you are literally leaving that decision to someone else. And this is precisely the reason why you must learn how to invest money. Now, I'll not get into the detail of that, what is wrong with mutual funds or why you should not let others manage your money. But important point is that you must learn investing. That is super, super important. Now, the second question here would be that, hey, what kind of investing should I learn? Should I become a long-term investor, or should I become a swing trader? Should I do FNO? Should I do commodity training, whatever, right? The point is that you must, number one, understand the fundamentals, right? Super important. You must understand basic finance, what is debt, equity, microeconomics, macroeconomics. At least understand the fundamentals. This is going to be the basic. Number two, start by investing your investment journey by picking up blue chip stocks directly, right? Number two. Number three, please don't experiment with complex instruments like that. I'm going to go and buy a derivative, or I'm going to buy futures and options. All these things sound fancy, but there is a step-by-step method to things, right? It's not as if that when you're 5 years old, you get married, right? There is a step-by-step process. You have to graduate, right? I mean, first you have to go to nursery, then you have to go to write your 5th class exam, then 10th board exam, then finally like you are in college, then you graduate from college, then finally you get married someday, right? So on and so forth, and then you have children. So things happen in a step by step fashion. So it's really like funny that, if I one day I get a message that, hey Akshat, I'm like new to stock trading, and which stocks will you recommend? So I generally say that, what, read this, read that, blah blah. And then after a month I get a message that, hey Akshat, can you teach me like FNO? So the point is that, no, right? I can't, and you should not be experimenting with futures and options so early, right? You must graduate, you must make certain investments, and then only finally you will be able to understand things. This is super important. Now, another important point is that a lot of us believe that in order to invest and in order to learn investing, I must know finance. Okay. Now, this is not correct. In order to invest, you must be interested in learning, right? Whatever skill there is to learn in terms of investing, that is okay, right? That you can pick up. It's not as if that you need to learn a ton of stuff about balance sheet. I can literally help you learn all the fundamentals of balance sheet in a 15-minute video, which I'll put someday. But bottom line is that you don't need to become a chartered accountant to understand how to read balance sheets. Okay. So the extent to which we assume that we need to know the fundamentals of finance to make investments, that is not correct. You just literally need to use a little bit of common sense, keep listening to my videos, listen to good YouTubers, listen to people who are actually giving educational advice, right? So that is very important, right? But create your own investment thesis. This is what I talked about on my last video when I talked about Warren Buffett and Elon Musk investing money, that you should not just blindly follow that, hey, Elon Musk has bought Bitcoin, so I am going to go and buy Bitcoins. That's a bad strategy, right? So please don't do that. Very, very important. Okay. Now, coming to the next point, that you don't need insane amount of financial, complicated technical information to become good investors, right? You just need basic common sense. You need experience, right? Again, one tip that I usually give to people who are new to investing is that literally pick up whatever, like 1% of your portfolio money. So let's say that, you have to invest, let's say 1000, or like you have a budget of 1 lakh total budget that you want to invest. Literally pick, let's say 5,000 rupee from that portfolio and take it as a learning exercise. Start investing, right? Because when you invest, you will start tracking those companies, you will start reading the newspaper, you will keep on educating yourself. So consider it as an investment amount for your course that you're buying, right? So that is very important, that if you want to learn how to invest, so number one is that you must learn how to invest, because if you don't, then inflation is eating your money. Number two, don't rely on other people, because you will not know when to exit, when to sell, what to do once you have made profit. So all these struggles will be there. So you need to learn things on your own. Number three, start investing, right? Again, coming back to the second point that I was talking about, that you must learn in your career by active learning, right? So this again is the same concept, that pick up money, invest in stock markets. That is how you will learn, right? Super important again. So now comes the next question, that a lot of us, okay, so I'll just quickly take investing is 90% mindset, 10% skill. So there is a book called as Psychology of Money. I highly recommend you reading it, right? I have just started reading it, enjoyed it thoroughly, right? You must also read about the book Psychology of Money. Very, very interesting book. Read about it, learn from it. Super important, right? That literally talks about that, A, you don't need to be a genius to make money. B, you need to have good financial habits. Now, good financial habit means that number one, you are an underspender, right? So it's not as if that, for example, there is nothing wrong in terms of buying an iPhone. A lot of people make comments that, hey, you should never buy an iPhone. Depends, right? For example, if in a year you are earning 1 crore, right, hypothetically speaking, then if you are owning an iPhone, it is fine, right? It doesn't matter. But if you are only making, let's say, 50,000 or like 25,000, and then you're going and buying an iPhone which is worth 4 times or 4 months of your salary, that is not the right decision, right? So you need to think about all these basic things and inculcate good financial habits. That is the essence of the book Psychology of Money. You should definitely understand that. That is going to be important, right? So you should start thinking of money in terms of your time, right? Value other people's time, value your own time, assign a dollar value to your time, right? So you're my long lost brother, actually. Thanks, King. So, all right, guys. So without giving any more gyan, I'll quickly summarize the session. So we talked about 3 things. Number one, How to think about competition? Always think about collaboration. You will not be able to collaborate unless you get into the habit of giving back. Check my networking course for people who have not watched it yet, would be super important, right? Now, why is collaboration important? Because you will make the most amount of money in the last phase of your career, so to say, right? When you're in the last 10 years of your life, right? That is when you will make more money. Why? Because of something called as compounding and right investing, right? Number two, think about your career. Now, very easy to give a theoretical gyan on it that, hey, learn about this, speak with this, blah, blah, blah. Cool, all that is fine. But also start acting on it, right? So learn, if you want to become a management consultant, at least go and find people to solve cases with. That will give you an input because you're doing something, right? Very, very, very important. Number three, you must understand that you are going to have to invest money. That is going to be a very important consideration, whether you like it or not. So the sooner you pick up that skill, the better it will be for your career. So with that said, only buy one can buy it twice every month. Okay, yeah, that's a good rule. Okay, so with that said, guys, I'll close out the session. I'll wait for 10 minutes and I'll try to answer some of the questions that have been asked. Very difficult for me to scroll up and try to answer questions. So any new questions that I'm getting, I'll try to answer that. Okay, sir, how to contact you? So I have a personal website called as akshatsrivastav.me. Okay, so you can fill out the form. That will help you. You can contact me on LinkedIn, guys. I try really hard to reply to everyone on LinkedIn. It's just complex to reply, right? With so many messages. All the thank you for the love. Just go on my website and reply. If I'm not responding there, then please drop me a message on LinkedIn. Okay, I'll definitely come back to you. Okay, your book recommendation. So Harsh, I'm one of those people who do not read too many books. I'm trying to get into that habit of reading books, right? Um, but honestly, for me, it's more about absorbing information, right? It's not about how much you have read, how many videos you have watched. No, it's more about how much I retain out of reading something, right? Even if I'm reading 5 pages, it's completely fine. As far as book recommendations goes, if I really, so I buy a lot of books, but I don't end up completing even 10% because I get the main message out and I move on and I read very fast, right? So I read like wide variety of books, all the books that interest me. I don't read fiction, right? I read a lot of psychology related books, money related books, hedge funds. I read a lot of politics books. I read like India Unbound is a wonderful book. Freedom at Midnight is a very good book, right? So I love to read all this stuff because I genuinely feel that knowledge is interconnected, right? If you understand politics, you will understand economy because economy literally flows from politics. If you understand economy, you understand finance. If you understand finance, you understand money. If you understand money, you understand careers, right? So that is how it plays out for me. So I tend to read wide variety of books. To earn COC fellowship, so Ramya, you just need to apply. Basically, we look for international orientation and teamwork, right? So you need to answer your questions really well. Okay. Okay, Dark Warrior, you're a spammer. Okay. Now ending up in McKinsey, India. Now ending up in McKinsey, India. Okay. What skill set one needs to develop for BA and associate's role at consulting firm? So skill set will remain the same. It's not as if that, if you're applying as an associate, skill set changes. No, nothing like that, right? Thank you, Karan. I'm fresh grad. Okay. You mentioned at the start that you will discuss your future plans in life. Oh, okay. Yeah, Nakul. So, okay, my future plans in life. So I'll just quickly cover that as well. So guys, my future plan in life is very simple, that I want to live like a more holistic life, right? So I would want to at least like 20% of my time, or rather like 30% of my time will go into activities that I truly enjoy. So for example, that is teaching for me, right? So therefore I have started my YouTube journey because I love teaching and I want to spend 30% of my time there. Number two, I run a VC fund, we make investments. I'll continue to do that. Number three, I will take up a lot of traveling, right? And I'll try to do all these things remotely, right? So, which I am confident that I'll be able to do. So yeah, so hopefully that's the game plan for me. So it's a combination of number one, my passion 30%, which is teaching, my core work, which is 40 to 50%, and new hobby, which is traveling, which I'll explore 20 to 25% of my time, right? So that is how I'm planning my career. How relevant is CFA now? So Sarthak, depends on what you want to do next, right? For example, if you want to work in investment banking, CFA is fine to build your core skills. Please watch for my investment banking video. I've made it very detailed. You will understand more. But really depends. CFA is a certification, not a degree, right? So that is how you should look at it. It's good for developing your core skills, right? I myself have cleared CFA 1 and 2 levels. Okay, so Shrey, honestly, artificial intelligence, machine learning, technology, all these areas are growing. Startups, very growing areas within McKinsey. So there is something called as Fuel by McKinsey, FUEL by McKinsey. Google it, you will learn more. Okay. All right, thanks, Ajinkya. Someone wants to exit consulting. What are other options for consultants? Okay, nice question. So, a lot of options, guys. So, basically, for example, you might know Phil Maley, who works with us on Global Fellowship. So, he exited consulting after becoming a Bain consultant in Australia. So, he ended up taking a leadership position with a multilateral company in Australia itself, right? So, good point about investment banking and management consulting is that if you want to move into relaxed corporate jobs, corporate HQ type of jobs, you can easily do it because yeah, you have a lot of transferable skills, so that becomes easy. Okay. Honestly, Vipul, it doesn't matter what humanities, arts, whatever you study, it would not matter. Just excel at whatever you're doing. That should be the agenda. Does top companies hire freshers? So I did not get the question. Your opinion on getting into management after MS degree? You can do that. Ointrilla asked, do you think freelancers from design have a shot at MBA programs which ask for full time? Ointrilla depends on what type of work, who your clients are, etc. That would be the bottom line. But you can still get through top MBA programs and top jobs. Not a problem. Okay? What are your views on blockchain and fintech? So, guys, we'll have a separate session on investing. I did not know that so many people would stay back. There are like 200 people still. Thank you so much, first and foremost, everyone, for showing up, dedicating your time to it. Really, really appreciate it. I did not. I was honestly expecting like 10 people right on this chat. So, what skills need to go? From next time onwards, I'll try to be more specific in terms of the live sessions that we will do. So, for example, we'll do a session only on cryptocurrency or discussing like networking. So we'll make the session specific. I kept a broad session today because I was not sure who would show up and what interest you guys want me to do. So I just kept it broad from that angle, but I'll keep it very, very specific from next time onwards. Career options, start your advice. How's the procedure for global fellowship? So you just need to apply, Raghunath, to global fellowship. It's there on the website itself. Career advice. Okay. All right. Ajay, whether can I pursue CA after I clear JE Advanced? I don't know. Dark Warrior. My league, Ivy League. Okay. How should I evaluate if studying outside is better option? Okay, Karan. So I think that's a very good question and requires a much more elaborate response. So I will definitely make a video on this, right? Comparing Indian colleges versus colleges abroad and how you should make a decision to study abroad. Right? Too late to do an MBA after 7? No, so not at all. So 7-8 years of experience is fine. I myself have worked with a lot of clients in the past who have gotten into top tier MBA programs with even 10 years of experience and more, right? Can a CA get into? Absolutely, Ankit. I have personally worked with such CAs, right? Your MBB salary video didn't include junior associate, senior associate, associate consultant. These are positions specific to India. So, for example, Ankit, I talked about associate consultant is equivalent to somewhat an analyst. For example, at Dalberg, associate consultant is a very junior position, so it would be somewhat similar. The idea behind that video was very to give a general overview and feel of salaries. Otherwise, the video would have become like me explaining like 20 different hierarchies. Indian MBA would have been much better option for you. No. So I would have, if I were to go back in time and redo my MBA, I'll do it from INSEAD any day, right? So yeah. For wide reasons, right? I mean, see, life as we grow older, so that's what I've realized, that it's less about money, right? Yeah. So touch wood, I'm financially free from that perspective. Now, the only thing is that at this stage in my life, I'm more interested in experiences. And INSEAD was a great experience because I got to witness different global outlook, how people think, how people sort of educate themselves. So getting a job was like a is a secondary thing, right? I mean, so if you keep money out of the equation, where do you get more learning experience? That's a question now I try to answer more. Okay, how to get into business analytics role? So guys, I'll make like more videos on it. Is business analytics India striking? Could you explain which global fellowship is being talked about? So Ayushi, I have invested in a company called as Cases Over Coffee. So there is a global fellowship program called as Global Fellowship COC. So I'll just quickly drop an email, or rather, I don't know if you guys can check my message here. So you guys can check this out. This is the global fellowship that we are speaking, and you can also sign up for my newsletter. Okay, it's called as akshasam.me. Right, so this is the newsletter that you can get access to. It's free newsletter. I'll try to write a lot, right? I do try to write a lot, but I'll be more structured and seeing all the love. I'll make like double efforts to get things going, and I'll keep shooting more videos, right? So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate all the inputs and love that you have bestowed on me, and congratulations to us, 10,000 subscribers in a very short span of time. So thank you so much, and yeah, and do reach out to me if I can be of any help. More than happy helping out, and I would try to do more live sessions so that I can answer questions right in a more systematic manner. What skills, Rahul? Please watch my video. I will, you guys can check it on the same channel. I've covered that. Sunny, just read my newsletter. I'll cover that, right? So sign up for my newsletter. I will cover that. So Ajay, okay, thank you so much. Career advice and charge for it. I actually, just sort of coach people on getting admissions abroad, right? So that is itself a career consulting, so to say, but separately, I don't want to do anything else in the career consulting space. Thank you, guys. Hey, guys, any keep in mind to prepare for interviews or consulting firms. So, Puneet, I am going to make a separate course on interviewing skills. That will be super exciting. In fact, the learning is based on me helping two candidates get into Harvard Business School this year. The interview is super complicated. So, a lot of learning has gone into it. So, I'll definitely make a course on acing your interview and how to polish your communication style. Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining it. Again, thank you for all the love, all the support. And yeah, please keep following. Please, keep sharing and liking the content. Gives me a lot of strength to show up, spend innumerous amount in terms of creating YouTube. It's slightly tough. It might look super easy, but actually when I started getting on YouTube, it is not that easy, right? I mean, creating the script, shooting it, editing it, it takes a lot of time, but yeah, your love definitely gives me a lot of energy. Thank you so much. Really, really, I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, guys. And any unanswered questions, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll try my level best to answer all of those. Okay. Thank you so much.